So, after committing a small crime against humanity, that happened. And yes, it's ridiculous, but it's mostly because it's very, very funny. But this actually is going to be a little helpful, because now we can walk through some of these addresses and finally know for certain what they really are. And I'm going to use the TLB allocated addresses because this thing has no concept of unsigned 64-bit addressing. Oh, matter of fact, here, get rid of this myth right off. And the reason why this is being a little difficult is because the analog is actually always enabled. It's just restricted by the gates. And but in software, when you open the gate thing on the bottom, then it flips basically the D-pad keys high, and that's the software indication that the analog is fully enabled. So it always is enabled, but software is basically has to be written so that way it ignores it when it's supposed to. And this is going to dispel the whole mirrored memory nonsense. This is what is at 8040 right now, and this is what is at the additional 4 megabyte memory buffer that's supplied on the Aleck. And this is actually always initialized during the initialization routine. I think pretty much everything uses it. Maybe some of the early stuff doesn't. But it's if you were to use, like, what was that? Super Real Mahong versus this is the thing where they plop all of their images for that crazy intro sequence. And oh yes, interesting is that these E92 boards, they have 8 megabytes of RAM on them, and they never use more than 4. For some reason, they never actually made a game that used more than 4. So this real address would be C000 blah 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 blah, and the other one that's initialized on this TLB entry, which is D080, that one only exists on cartridges that have the it's basically a graphics overlay thing. It's the same sort of thing that was used in that Mickey Tetris game, except that I think debug cartridges might have had that, so they can basically just do an overlay over the screen without affecting any of the real gameplay. And if you were to use it on like one of these little boards, it won't be a deal at all. It just won't happen. Let's see, next interesting memory range is the JAMMA input. Actually, I've already tried all of the unmapped pins on the JAMMA harness, and none of them are actually assigned anything. So, like the tilt switch, button 5, all of them, they just don't do anything on here. Oh yes, this would be the, what was it? The port at the top, I think that's incoming? Yeah, incoming. And so if you just have a bare board, those pins are high, not low. Going out is low. That's this half word right here at A. And this little block of memory is valid up until 8080. And yeah, that's kind of scary. Yeah, but this block of memory is valid straight up to 8080, and if I were to go one line down, it will immediately crash. However, the little buffer for the networking stuff is here, E0800100, and that runs straight up until you get to 400, and at 400, like any good memory range, this loops back on itself and continues to loop back on itself until 1000. And that is the next little thing that was entered on this thing's TLB entry, if I remember. Yeah, I think this was the second page on its TLB entry, and that was assigned to C0C00000. And it's, I have no idea what this is actually for, but it's, it actually does look similar to the control registers for the image overlay, but that's probably just because it's like that. Anyway, this range runs straight up until when they actually says it, where they say it does, which I think is 2000. Any further and the thing will crash, because that's what it likes to do. One more page would crash it. So anyway, you can take my word for it. It's this until the end, which is another reason why I could say that it's similar to the control registers. But I think that's all the interesting stuff. Yeah. Pretty sure it's all the interesting stuff. Anyway. Go on. There we go. Isn't that amazing?